right now, somewhere in the world, many times over, people are asking, is there a God? People are making statements such as, if there is a God, then why is this happening? Why does God allow this to happen? Why? Well, the enlightened people, people who are awake with a capital A, the Buddhas, the Jesuses, the Christs, Krishnas, the enlightened people, including my master, Adidar Samraj, are living as God. They are God people. Because God is love. God is all embracing, like into an open hand. All embracing. God embraces all conditions. See, conditional life is all about duality. You cannot have one without the other. The God disposition, like into the open hand, embraces all and all. And God, the God person, discerns. The God person sees the differences. The God person, like the non-God person, will enjoy something better than something else. You don't need to be a God person to know the difference between something that's poison and something that's not, something that's toxic and something that's not. You don't need to be a God person or claim to be a God person to know the difference between putting on warm clothes or clothes that are going to keep you warm compared to a t-shirt in the summertime. However, the God person is always living like an open hand. And there's no need. You see, the God person has no issues. The God person has no need for retaliation because he hasn't got that feeling that people are against him or people are out to destroy him. Though many God people have been destroyed by society, and the most famous being Jesus Christ. He was not accepted, and he knew that he wasn't going to be accepted if what we read is correct. And he prepared for his death. He knew he was going to be crucified. But what he didn't do was to establish a community of people that would carry on his teaching, his esoteric teaching, the hidden teachings. So the God man, the God disposition, which is all embracing, has no need for walls. The God man sees clearly that we are responsible for how we play with the conditions of life. Everything is possible. I mean, let's consider this. 200 years ago, people might have thought it's all very possible. I mean, Leonardo da Vinci back in the 16th century, he was inventing even the plane. He invented many apparatuses and tools and even war machines, which weren't necessarily manufactured or whatever you want to call it. So even then, there were people who could see what man could produce and what has man produced. And there's even more that the man will produce. because man is capable of doing that. We are creative beings. We are both creative and destructive. Both go hand in hand. We cannot create something without destroying something. They go hand in hand. So there's only an unenlightened person that would blame some God up there, or will expect some God up there to bestow only good upon us all. It's our decision, right from the time when we had the use of our faculties, the use of our intelligence. It's up to us what we do with the conditions of life and what we do with all the various materials that are given to us. So there's no point in blaming something that you only believe in. What you have to understand is you've got to realize that we are God, the Creator and the Destroyer. We are all vehicles, if you like, vessels for God to work through us. And when you live in this uncontracted state, no contraction, then God, that great power, can live us without any doubt, without any concern even. We are God. There is only God. Adidar, my teacher, has said, there is only God. That's what there is to realize. I've got a little essay in here entitled, Allow Life to be God's Business. Allow your life to be God's business. God is the great spirit of your life, the great force. He says, you are disturbed, you are uptight, you are not surrendered bodily, and you are working on internal programs for ultimate surrender. The truth is that you're simply afraid, not surrendered. Those programs are what you do when you do not surrender emotionally, when you cannot see that you're simply contracting and cannot release the contraction and allow whatever is happening to happen. You must trust the process of your own life, whether it is to go mad, to become ill, to work, to succeed, or to die. I mean, Jesus was looked upon as a madman, but he surrendered to his destiny. He could not do anything different because he lived in that vulnerable, open hand state. Do you really want to live as fear, as anxiety, as doubt and concern for the rest of your life? Do you want to end up on your deathbed realizing you haven't lived a life of love and happiness and joy? See, that is the essence of what God is. Already happiness, joy, delight, intimacy. That's the God state. That is what there is to realize. Be free of fear. Surrender to the person of God, the actual living God. Means that state. Surrender. You see, the inanimate objects, everything that hasn't got a voice needs a voice. Water needs a voice. Fire needs a voice. The sun needs a voice. Trees need a voice. A mother needs, the mother is the voice of the food that it gives to its child. The mother is, and the father are the voices explaining don't touch fire because it's hot. The mother says to the child, drink this because it will do you good. In effect, it's saying, if water could speak, the water would say, I am wet. I am here to quench your thirst. As we know, they haven't got voices. So people have to become the voice of God, of this God state. And I am one of those. Give yourself up emotionally to God. Do it to the point that the physically based fear of death vanishes on the basis of trust alone. That's another quality of God. Trust, faith. Practice complete devotion and absolute surrender. Do not just tread the path of gradual attainment. Give yourself up completely in this moment. Give what you call yourself up, your personality, what you hold on to, your agendas, your strategies, your patterns of manipulation, your doubts, your boredoms. All this is part of the self-contraction. It's not necessary. It really isn't necessary. Allow all of life to be God's business. Whatever arises, just simply allow it, high or low. Such a life will simply be surrendering to the point of happiness, giving up to God completely. Remember, God, once more, God is a state. God is an actuality, not a belief. And so on. That comes from the book called Compulsory Dancing. Garfield John was Aligar's name at one time. So it's futile to think that God is responsible, or should I say some external heaven-like person up there looking down upon us all. We make the decisions. It's our job to understand the duality of life, the laws of conditional existence. They have their own laws, and we can go along with them and play with them, but we can also manage them to our best of our ability. There's poison in this house in the form of bleach. It's a poison. Do I choose to give that to you or put it down the toilet? It's our choice what we do with the contrasts, with the opposites, with duality, all those differences. When I play a piece of music on the piano, I will play it according to hopefully the composer's wishes. But I can also play it differently. When I'm making a cake, I can put 2 ounces of sugar in, or I could put a little bit more in. I've got the choice. It's called conscious exercise. It's called being conscious. We make those decisions. And then blaming and all that will simply fall away. There's no one to blame. It's just as it is. But we can make those decisions. I can put a drop of milk in to my tea, or I can put a little bit more than a drop. I could put a teaspoon of sugar in, or I could say, right, no more sugar. Start from it. It's our choosing in the moment if we're using our intelligence. We have to wake up. Once again, likened to the open hand. Thank you for listening.